What if a boy's tragic childhood, marked by abuse, neglect, and the kidnapping of his own brother, turned him into one of the most notorious killers in California's history? Today on Hidden Truth, we are diving deep into the dark and twisted mind of Cary Stayner, a man who grew up surrounded by trauma and ultimately unleashed horror on innocent lives. If you love true crime mysteries and deep psychological analysis, make sure to subscribe to Hidden Truth and join us as we uncover stories that most people are too afraid to talk about. Cary Stayner's story is as disturbing as it is fascinating. Known as the Yosemite Killer, his crimes left law enforcement and the nation horrified. How does someone grow up in a small California town and end up becoming a serial murderer? To understand Cary's descent into darkness, we must go back to the very beginning. Cary was born in August 1961 in Merced, California, a quiet agricultural town often called the gateway to Yosemite National Park. From the outside, the Stayner family seemed like any other working-class household. His father worked in a peach canning factory, his mother stayed home. And there were 5 children in total, 2 boys and 3 girls. But behind closed doors, this was a family filled with chaos. Later psychiatric interviews revealed a long history of mental illness in the Stayner bloodline, including obsessive-compulsive disorder, psychosis, and substance abuse. By age 3, Cary was already showing signs of severe anxiety. He developed trichotillomania, a compulsive disorder that caused him to pull out his own hair until he was nearly bald. This early behavior showed just how much stress and fear the little boy was living with. As Cary grew older, things only got worse. He was reportedly abused by a relative, while his mother remained distant and failed to intervene. Imagine being a child in a home where you cannot trust anyone, not even the people meant to protect you. Then came a devastating event that changed everything. Cary's younger brother, Stephen Stayner, was kidnapped in 1972 on his way home from school. The case became one of the most famous child abductions in California history. Stephen's disappearance threw the Stayner family into turmoil. His father was heartbroken and obsessed with finding his missing son. But for Cary, this meant even less attention and affection from his parents. He later said that his father even blamed him for not protecting his younger brother. When Stephen miraculously escaped from his captor 7 years later and returned home, the media hailed him as a hero. But for Cary, this was just another blow. The spotlight was once again on his brother while he faded further into the background, feeling like the forgotten son. This toxic mix of neglect, abuse, and jealousy planted seeds of rage inside Cary that would grow over the years. As a teenager, he was known to be quiet and shy, but also incredibly creative. He loved to draw and was considered one of the most talented artists in his class. But there were already disturbing red flags. Classmates reported strange behavior, including exposing himself and inappropriate actions toward young girls. Cary's mental health continued to deteriorate into adulthood. He experienced hallucinations and violent fantasies, many of which involved harming women. Despite briefly seeking therapy, he refused medication because he claimed it interfered with his dreams that often included violent images. Then tragedy struck again. In 1989, Stephen Stayner died in a motorcycle accident, and soon after, Cary's abusive uncle, the same man who had molested him, was murdered while Cary was living with him. This was never officially solved, but it left Cary living in the very house where his abuser had been killed, with no closure and even more psychological turmoil. By the late 1990s, Cary was working as a handyman at a lodge near Yosemite National Park. On the surface, he seemed like a friendly, quiet worker. But inside, his homicidal urges were growing stronger. In February 1999, 3 women checked into the Cedar Lodge: Carol Sund, her teenage daughter Julie, and Julie's friend Sylvina. This was supposed to be a fun trip exploring Yosemite, but it turned into a nightmare. Cary used his position as a handyman to gain entry to their room, holding them at gunpoint. He tied them up, strangled Carol, and sexually assaulted the 2 teenage girls before murdering them as well. He then burned their rental car to destroy evidence and even sent a letter to police with a map to one of the bodies, taunting investigators and pretending that they had fun, making police believe there was more than one killer involved. Months passed before he killed again. His final victim was Joey Armstrong, a 26-year-old naturalist who worked in Yosemite. Cary attacked her near her cabin, abducted her, and brutally murdered her. This time, investigators got lucky. Witnesses reported seeing a blue International Scout vehicle near the scene, a car Cary happened to own. When FBI agents questioned him, Cary calmly confessed, not just to Joey's murder, but to the triple homicide months earlier. Cary Stayner was arrested, convicted, and sentenced to death. He remains on death row in California to this day. Cary's story is a chilling reminder of how childhood trauma, untreated mental illness, and deep resentment can turn into something truly monstrous. Do you think Cary's crimes could have been prevented if he had received proper mental health care earlier in life? Let us know your thoughts in the comments. And if you want more dark and fascinating true crime cases like this, subscribe to Hidden Truth, where we bring you the stories that the world can't look away from.